I'm afraid I've let the team down. I've just done a big backflip and I've ordered my C8 at a premium price. Stay tuned and I'll tell you what I've done and why. In my last video, I told you I was refusing to pay an exorbitant dealer delivery fee for a C8 Corvette. Well, I've changed my mind. The choice was, do you want a C8 within a year or don't you? If you want to own one, you pay the price. I'm afraid I haven't maintained the rage, as they say, but I've decided that having been given a chance to get a C8, hopefully within a year, I'm going to take it. Now, I did get some advice on this. I have a friend who's a very experienced industry leader on the dealership side of things. He's never been a GM dealer, but he has good friends with GMSV dealerships. He firstly tried to call in a favour and get me on a C8 shortlist, but he found that was impossible. He was told there was such a long waiting list, a lot of dealers were refusing to take any more orders until they had more certainty regarding supply. He was told a small number of dealers are taking multiple orders, including deposits, that will take years to fill. He told me if I had a chance of securing a C8 within a year, to go ahead and pay whatever it took. He believed because of the incredible demand for the C8, I could get more for the car than I paid if I wanted to get out of it when it came. This seemed like sound advice. If I followed my previous plan to let things settle down a bit before I put in an order, or put myself on a list with no actual outlook as to when I could get a car, it could take years to get my C8, and I may be even too old to enjoy it the way I want to. The word on the street is it will take a minimum of 3 years to get a C8 if you order now, but maybe as long as 5 years. On top of that, the cars I plan to sell to pay for the C8 have gone up a lot in value, making it easier to get the extra money for the C8. I also believe the C8 will hold its value for a few years at least if the demand stays high and the supply remains limited, which I think will be the case. So I don't believe I'm looking at a loss if I decide to sell it for some reason, although I don't expect I'll want to do that. I'd like to make good use of the C8 before I'm forced to slow down, and I'd like to track it a few times, just to feel the ability of the car when it's really pushed. I'm also quite happy with the spec of the car that I expect to get. It's basically a black 3LT coupe with a few options on top of that. I also own quite a special black C3, which is one of the cars I intend to keep. That would match up quite nicely next to the C8 at a car show. So that also appeals to me. I have the option codes for the car, so I've built it in the Corvette visualizer. There are a couple of options I want to add, which I'll source from the US and fit them myself. I'm talking some added aero and maybe red stinger stripes or hash marks. This is actually cheaper than optioning them on the order, not that I can. This bypasses the hefty local markup, the LCT and the local stamp duty, which are payable if the parts are on the car. I'm not saying I'm happy about the way this whole C8 sales situation is going. What we're seeing is price gouging, as I said in my last video. It meets the definition perfectly. But on the other hand, is an auction price gouging. A car which is auctioned will go to the highest bidder, which is not totally different to what we have with the C8. For instance, an L88 up for auction could fit the price gouging definition. It's the ultimate case of low supply and high demand. I have to say this whole issue is not totally straightforward. I don't have an ultimate verdict on dealer markups. A current high-profile example of price gouging is the COVID-19 rat kits issue, as this is a matter of public health. Your health shouldn't depend on how much money you have, so I'm all for the outlawing of the price gouging in this particular case. There's also the example of ticket scalping. This is where someone has, say, grand final tickets or hard-to-get tickets to some other big event and offers them for sale well above their face value. This is illegal in Australia, it certainly is in Victoria. I can see why it's done, but I've never been in full agreement with the law on this. If someone is willing to pay double the face value for hard-to-get tickets, what's wrong with two people agreeing on a price and the deal being done? In the US, GM has made its position clear through a recent warning handed out to the dealers by Steve Carlisle, GM North America president. Carlisle warned the dealers they had an obligation to deal fairly and ethically with their customers as required in their franchise agreement. He threatened to reduce the allocation of cars to dealers who did not stand by the agreement. Although nothing has been said, it's obvious GM's sales arm in Australia, GMSV, would share the same thoughts as their US counterparts. However, it's my understanding from the yearly training courses I attended at both GM and Ford here in Australia, there's not much that can be done. The car companies can't force their franchisees to sell for a set price. Price gouging, however, doesn't do a lot to enhance the image of the manufacturer. Not everyone realises the dealerships have control of the final selling price and tend to blame the manufacturer for the final pricing. The whole dynamic of car sales has changed significantly over the last couple of years. The supply of new vehicles has slowed considerably, triggering a customer demand that has raised new car prices, which in turn is creating a surge in used car prices. The dealers have changed from a model of high volume sales with low profit per car to a model of low volume sales and a higher profit per car. Their customers, particularly for the top-of-the-line models, are prepared to pay a premium for the cars, just to get hold of one. The markup is accomplished locally by increasing the variable so-called dealer delivery fee. Now, an interesting situation currently happens in the US where it seems many buyers have ordered and waited for their C8s at MSRP, only to flip them as soon as they arrive. Take, for example, a car sales company called Corvette World, which has dealerships in both Dallas and Houston, Texas, and describe themselves as America's premier retailer of pre-owned low-mileage Corvettes. They have many C8s in stock, most of which have travelled a little over 1,000 miles. They have quite a few showing less than 100 miles, and some have even travelled under 10 miles. They're selling all these C8s well over new car MSRP. The prices appear to be between 20 and 30k over MSRP at a quick look, and they're currently showing over 40 C8s in stock. This company offers to buy your new C8 at a profit to you. In one of the more recent YouTube videos put out by Brink of Speed, Corvette World vigorously defends what it's doing. I'll give you the link down below the video in the description section so you can hear what they have to say. For those who don't want to wait in line for their C8, they can pick one up whenever they want just by heading down to Corvette World. And I'm sure there are other used car dealers where they do the same. There appears to be nothing illegal about what they're doing, but this is something that doesn't make GM happy. There's even talk of GM including a clause in their retail sales contract prohibiting the resale of a car less than 12 months after its purchase. So is this detrimental to Corvette buyers or is it a positive for them? You could answer either way. It's certainly seen as a positive by those who take up the offer. But for those patiently waiting for their C8 order, they see people ahead of them in the queue getting cars not because they want them, but simply to make a profit. But I guess that's how free enterprise works. Will this same thing happen in Australia? I strongly suspect it will. I looked at a Mustang a week or two ago, a used Mustang which had very low kilometres but was well over the original selling price. But then again, I sold my 2017, the last of the breed, SS Commodore Utes, well over what I paid for it. Was I wrong in doing that? The first of the C8s are now being delivered in Australia and New Zealand, so we'll soon see if any of them come up quickly for sale, and we'll see what price people put on them. There was a C8 on carsales.com for a short time, which was listed at nearly $300,000, and apparently had a lot of interest even at that price. Now I'm interested to hear what everyone thinks about paying over the odds for a C8. And what is the delivery outlook people are being quoted for a C8? I think if you're beyond the second batch of cars, no one can give you a real idea of when you can get one. The popularity of this car and the parts and plant issues and the difficulty with global shipping is causing havoc with C8 supply in Australia. Now, if you were given the opportunity of getting a C8 this year, like I was, how much extra would you be prepared to pay? Let me know your thoughts in the comments section below. My C8 is ordered and the deposit paid. I'll now start selling some cars to pay for it. I'll keep you informed on the progress of my order, and if I'm able to do any tracking on the order, I'll let you know how that works. If you enjoyed the video and found it informative, please give it a thumbs up. This helps get the video promoted by YouTube, and it's also a big help to the channel if you subscribe. And if you want to be notified when a new video is posted, click the bell icon as well. Until then, keep on vetting, and I hope to talk to all of you again real soon.